dear students, how are you? I hope all are you good. Today let me start SST chapter number 12 India after independence यानी कि आज़ादी के बाद हमारा भारत. So let me read. After a long struggle, India got freedom. बहुत संघर्षों के बाद जो है भारत आज़ाद हुआ from the clutches of British rule on 15th August 1947 and established its own government. अब क्या था, भारत जो है भारत की अपनी सरकार के साथ. The British had left behind an India that had been pushed back to medieval ages. तो क्या हुआ, जो वो अंग्रेज थे ना हमें बहुत पीछे कर गए थे. जो हमारा मेडिवल पीरियड था ना, प्राचीन जो युग मध्यकालीन जो युग था, उससे भी हमें बहुत पीछे धकेल दिया था उन्होंने. इंडिया फेस मैनी चैलेंज आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस. अब आज़ादी के बाद बहुत सारे चैलेंजेस आए. सम ऑफ द पर्टिनेंट क्वेश्चंस बिफोर इंडियंस वर हाउ शुड अ गवर्नमेंट बी फॉर्म्ड एंड रन. अब कैसे सरकार बनाई जाए और कैसे चलाई जाए. हाउ डज वन फॉर्म अ गवर्नमेंट, व्हाट गोल्स शुड आवर गवर्नमेंट फॉलो, what guidelines should be provided to our government, how to put an end to poverty, ignorance, diseases and inequality, how to build a new social order in which the benefits of freedom and social justice. अब ये सारे सवाल जो है सभी के मन में थे कि कैसे सरकार बने, कैसे चीज़ें चले, कैसे अनइक्वालिटी यानी कि खत्म हो, कैसे यूनिटी बढ़े, इस चीज़ को लेके. सो द सोशल जस्टिस वुड बी assured to all. It was a challenging task. चीजों को फिर से शुरू करना है ना. As India's first Prime Minister जवाहरलाल नेहरू declared at that time. तो सबसे पहले कौन थे प्राइम मिनिस्टर? जवाहरलाल नेहरू प्रधानमंत्री बने देश के. The service of India means the service of millions. अब भारत के लिए सेवा करना मतलब मिलियन की संख्या में लोगों का who suffer. It means the ending of poverty and ignorance and disease and inequality of opportunity. The ambition of the greatest man of our generation. Gandhiji has been to wipe every tear from every eye. That may be beyond us, but as long as there are tears and suffering, our work will not be over. Despite its abundant natural resources and massive manpower, India was still backward. Immediately after independence, अब भारत आज़ादी के बाद क्या हुआ, जो हालांकि बहुत नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज बहुत थे, मैन पावर बहुत थी, लेकिन फिर भी भारत जो है पिछड़ा हुआ. इंडिया नीडेड टू टैकल टू प्रॉब्लम्स दैट थ्रेटन द वेरी फाउंडेशन ऑफ आवर न्यू बोर्न डेमोक्रेसी. द सेकेंड वन वाज टू प्रोवाइड रिलीफ एंड rehabilitation to the millions of displaced persons who had fled to India from what was now a new country, Pakistan. The first one was to integrate the princely states into the Indian Union so as to achieve political cohesion and national unity. Integration of Indian states. The main task after independence was the integration of princely states. Till the partition of the country, India was divided into two categories of states, यानी कि princely states and British India. The princely states were under the paramountcy of the British Crown. With the independence of India, this paramountcy lapsed and princely states were free to decide their future relationship either with India or Pakistan. But with such territorial, the task of integration was called for courage. But with such territorial fragmentation, India unity was impossible. यानी भारत में एकता होनी असंभव थी. So the task of integration was called for courage, skill and statesmanship of the highest order. Fortunately, to accomplish such a giant job, India had the right man in Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. His caliber, competence and clear thinking enabled him to quickly accomplish the task of winning over the princely states. Hyderabad, Junagadh and Kashmir remained undecided for the long, but later all the three agreed to join India. Goa had to be persuaded by means of restrained military action. The different patterns of administration prevailing in the princely states were brought line with that of the rest of the Indian Union. Rehabilitation of displaced person. अब जिन लोगों के घर छिन गए थे वर्ल्ड वॉर 1, वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 में अब उनके लिए जगहों का निर्माण कर। देखिए किस तरह से ये रिलीफ कैंप बनाए गए थे। द एंड ऑफ फॉरेन रूल केम विद द पेन ऑफ द पार्टीशन ऑफ द कंट्री into two nations, India and Pakistan. As people crossed border, communal violence affected millions of people. After independence, crore of people migrated to India from Pakistan. तो कहाँ पे उन्हें बहुत से करोड़ लोग क्या हुए थे, माइग्रेटेड टू इंडिया फ्रॉम पाकिस्तान। पाकिस्तान से इंडिया जो है बहुत से लोग आए थे। India's problem was not only to provide immediate relief to the immigrants but also resettle them in gainful occupation। अब उनको भाई ऑक्यूपेशन, रोजगार भी चाहिए, उनको सेटल होने के लिए भी जगह चाहिए। This put an unbearable strain on Indian economy which was already crumbling due to communal riots and partition. However, the government handled it competently. Hundreds of relief camps were opened to provide food and shelter. In the displaced people, these were followed by a planned rehabilitation program. Assistance was given by way of housing, vocational training, education, and loans for starting businesses and industries. With the help of such measures, the problem of rehabilitation was gradually overcome. Our Constitution. Let's talk about our Constitution, means हमारा संविधान। India needed a constitution for itself. The Constitution Assembly was entrusted to frame the Constitution of India. It took nearly 2 years to complete the Constitution. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was the chairman of the drafting committee. The Indian Constitution can be described as a correct charter of freedom. It aimed at a democratic form of government. In keeping with the spirit of that pledge, the Constitution enshrines the supremacy of the will of the people and their resolve to secure for all citizens socio-economic and political justice. Liberty of thought, expression, मतलब हमें जो है जीने की आज़ादी, हमें अपनी बात कहने की आज़ादी, ठीक है, हमें खाने की, जो हमारे अधिकार हैं उनके बारे में यहाँ पे बात होगी। Belief, faith and worship, equality of status and opportunity, and promotes the principle of fraternity, thus assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity of the nation. The will of the people is exercised through universal adult franchise and parliamentary democracy, equality before law and the protection of our basic right. Okay, are ensured by the fundamental rights. तो हमारे जो अधिकार है ना, उनके बारे में यहाँ पे चर्चा शुरू हुई। It laid stress on secularism. An independent judiciary maintains rule of law in the country, while the legislative and executive enact laws and execute them respectively. A unique aspect of our Constitution is the directive principle of state policy, which exhorts the state to secure social, economic, and political justice in society and to promote welfare of the foreign policy of India is the reflection of age-old traditions of Indian thought and philosophy and idealism of our freedom fighters. Pluralistic approach and habit of the tolerance are the gospels of our foreign policy. This tradition explains India's emphasis on non-alignment, anti-radicalism, anti-colonization, and anti-fascism. The main objective of our foreign policy has been the maintenance and promotion of international peace and understanding. As Nehru said, peace to us is not a fervent hope, it is an emergent necessity. The second important objective is the promotion of self-determination among all colonial people. The third objective is to resist radicalism and to strive for an agrarian society. The fourth major objective is peaceful settlement of international disputes and conflicts. The fifth objective is the removal of glaring disparity between the rich and the poor, further in the larger interest of humanity. India believes that active support to international organization is of paramount importance. Non-alignment. After the World War II, there emerged superpower in the world. USA and former USSR rivalry Rivalry between these powers culminated in the formation of two hostile military blocs. Consequently, an atmosphere of tension, distrust, and fear developed. It was known as the Cold War. As many former imperialist colonies were attaining independence that time, both powers tried to draw these newly independent countries into their respective bloc. India did not join either of the groups because it was aware of the high price of military involvement. It tried to initiate a movement for world peace. Indian leaders felt that peace did not mean only the absence of war, it also meant healthy cooperation among nations for the benefit of all. This policy came to be defined as the policy of non-alignment. It meant an independent approach towards world issues without being influenced by either bloc. Non-alignment does not mean remaining neutral or not getting involved in foreign affairs. It means remaining independent of military and political groups while taking an active part in promoting world peace and understanding amongst nations. It also means taking an independent stand on international issues. The non-aligned movement or NAM was the brainchild of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. He did not want to get involved in the Cold War. He was supported by leaders of Ghana, Egypt, Indonesia and Yugoslavia. The first conference of the non-aligned countries was held in 1961 at Belgrade. It was attended by 25 member countries. Presently, the movement has 120 members and 17 observers countries. Panchsheel. What is Panchsheel? India's determination to stick to the policy of non-alignment and consistent efforts for peace reached its climax when she proclaimed the principles of peaceful coexistence in 1954. This concept was well received worldwide and found a prominent place in the Sino-India Agreement in 1954. 5 principles were embodied in its preamble, which later came to be known as Panchsheel. These are what? Mutual respect for each other's terrestrial integrity and sovereignty, mutual non-aggression, mutual non-interference in each other's internal affairs, equality and mutual benefit, peaceful coexistence. So these are the Panchsheel. India and UNO. India is one of the signatories to the United Nations Charter formulated at San Francisco in 1954. Ever since the UNO was founded, India has been constantly striving to promote its ideas. They are preserving world peace and security, encouraging nations to be fair and their actions towards each other, serve as an agency through which nations can work towards their goals. India and Commonwealth. After independence, India faced a peculiar situation. It had to decide whether to continue as a member of the Commonwealth or leave it. It finally decided to work for friendly cooperation within the Commonwealth organization. According to India, the Commonwealth is such a platform where all can work for the major objectives or her policy that aims to assist in achievement of democracy. So human rights, good governance and protection of environment, etc. Now next one is SAARC. India is of the view that the whole South Asian region should be kept free from the influence of big world powers. South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation has been founded with this as its main objective. India joined SAARC. SAARC सम्मेलन होता है ना, to promote and strengthen collective self-reliance among members, to promote welfare of people of South Asia, to strengthen cooperation with their developing countries, to facilitate active collaboration and mutual assistance in economic, social, cultural, technical and scientific fields. India and its neighbors. India has always been a firm believer of peace and friendly neighborly relationships. India's policy has been to establish good relationship based on mutual trust, understanding, and cooperation. As the map of India was redrawn after independence in 1947, there are some border issues yet to be settled. India has always been keen to address these issues peacefully through negotiation. India does not want any interference from any third power in her relationships with other countries and also in settlement of mutual disputes. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru had defined non-alignment, disarmament, and peaceful coexistence as the guiding principles of India's foreign policy. Now, India and China. There was a good understanding between India and China for more than 2000 years. अब जब इनके बीच इतना अच्छा बॉन्ड था तो अभी एक दूसरे के शत्रु कैसे बने पता नहीं. आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस नेहरू वाज कीन ऑन इम्प्रूविंग रिलेशंस विद चाइना. Zhou Enlai, then Chinese Prime Minister, visited India and had prolonged consultations with Nehru in 1954. The two leaders tried to further strengthen the relations between the two countries. In 1954, India signed an agreement with China. एक agreement भी sign किया. The agreement is known as the Panchsheel Pact based on the 5 principles of peaceful coexistence. India continued to subscribe to these principles even when her relation with China was in 1962. When China attacked India, she was caught unprepared but gallantly defended her borders as best she could. Though the war soon over, normal relations between the two were not restored for a long time. In recent years, Indo-China relations have shown improvement in many fields, including trade, education, science, and technology. Both countries have agreed to end the long-standing border issue with the help of a joint committee to be formed by the officials of both the countries. Since the period 1991 to 1996, trade relations between the two countries have improved. More and more Indians are visiting China. Similarly, many Chinese have visited India on goodwill missions. However, there is vexing problem such as the lack of clearly demarcated border in high snowbound mountainous terrain. As such, our relations with China are likely to be under strain for some more time. Nepal is an independent nation to the north of India. The frontiers of India and Nepal meet at the northern border of Uttar Pradesh and the southern slopes of the Himalayas. India good relations and understanding with Nepal. A very large number of Nepalis keep migrating to India in search of jobs. During the British rule, thousands of Nepalese young men joined British Army and contributed to our defense. The citizens of India and Nepal can visit each other's country without any passport or visa. India has provided trade points at several places on the border. A treaty of trade and transit has been signed between the two countries, which regulates economics and cultural relations. India has helped Nepal in building bridges, hospitals, and rail routes. The government of Nepal is the executive body and the central government of Nepal. Prior to the abolition of monarchy, it was officially known as His Majesty's government. India and Bhutan. Nepal is the only Hindu country of the world. नेपाल में only Hindu हैं. Bhutan is situated on the northern border of India. India has always had very cordial relations with Bhutan. India is closely involved in the development of education and technical skills in Bhutan. Indian agencies have also been executing major projects in field of telecommunications, roads and hydrology, geological surveys and irrigation work. Bhutanese youth have been studying in India schools and institutes of higher learning. The relations between the two countries are based on mutual trust and cooperation. Recently, the King of Bhutan voluntarily stepped down from the throne in favor of democratically elected government, choosing to be henceforth known as constitutional monarchy. India and Myanmar, formerly Burma. India has maintained friendly and cooperative relations with Myanmar. since independence on 4th January 1348. So, soon after Myanmar's independence, India helped her to secure economic and military aid from the Commonwealth. India has followed a policy of non-interference in Myanmar's internal affairs. Steps have recently been taken to increase India's trade with Myanmar. Smuggling and unlawful activities on the border between the two countries partly responsible for this approach. And now let's talk about recent topic, India and Pakistan. India and Pakistan were one country before partition. अब ये है ना, पार्टीशन होने से पहले ये एक ही कंट्री थी, ठीक है. किसने इसको पार्टीशन कराया? गांधी जी ने. Being two parts of what was formerly one country, we share not only a common past but common tradition and culture. However, the former colonial rulers arranged the partition of India along communal lines, thus sowing the seeds of long-lasting rivalry and mutual suspicion between the two nascent nations. Several factors are responsible for causing tension between the two countries. Kashmir is identified as the main cause of tension. कि भारत कहता है हमारा है, पाकिस्तान कहता है हमारा है. कश्मीर वो बीच में है. The state is situated in the extreme northern part of India and has a running border with Pakistan. On 5 अगस्त 1965 को पाकिस्तान made a bold attempt to seize Kashmir, which was foiled by India. In the end, the UN intervened and ceasefire was declared on September 23, 1965 on the consistence of the Prime Minister of USSR, the Prime Minister of India Lal Bahadur Shastri, and the President of Pakistan General Ayub Khan signed Tashkent Agreement to 10 January 1966 to settle this dispute. But it failed, जो आज तक fail है ये चीज, to improve the relations between the two countries. Consequently, there was another war between the two countries in 1971, which resulted in the emergence of Bangladesh. अब क्या किया, ये जो war हुआ उसमें बांग्लादेश को अलग कर दिया गया. After Pakistan defeat in the war, the Prime Minister of the both countries met at Shimla and signed an agreement known as the Shimla Pact. This agreement sought to normalize the relations between the two countries. However, nothing has happened. मतलब ये agreement sign हुआ, in future अब आपस में कोई कुछ झगड़ा नहीं होगा. So the Pakistan's troop marched and entered Kashmir in 1999 and create trouble in Kargil. India won the Kargil conflict. Pakistan frequently raises the Kashmir issue at different international conferences and meetings. Pakistan has also been assisting terrorist activities against India. वो करता रहता है आतंकवादी हरकतें, किस लिए? कश्मीर के लिए. India has also expressed its concern over Pakistan acquiring more and more deadly weapons, including nuclear ones. Pakistan's Inter-Service Intelligence (ISI) has been disturbing India's internal security. जो ISI है वो हमारी सिक्योरिटी को जो है डिस्टर्ब करता है. Pakistan has launched a proxy war in Kashmir. In spite of such disturbing activities of Pakistan, India has tried to improve bilateral relations with Pakistan. Recently, both countries have agreed to step up trade with each other, and bus train services have been started between the two countries. कितना ही कर लो लेकिन वो बदतमीज वो मानने वाले नहीं है. इंडिया पाकिस्तान. India and Bangladesh. East Bengal was East Pakistan after independence. It consisted of Muslim population and were exploited by West Pakistan. Urdu was introduced as the official language while the people spoke Bengali. Sheikh Muzaffar Rahman of East Pakistan won the election in 1970. He was not permitted to form the government. He finally rose to power and declared Bangladesh an independent nation with India's support in 1971. India and Bangladesh has lots of issues to be sorted out like Ganga water sharing, है ना? So border problems, the refugees migration into India from Bangladesh. Till today, the two countries are trying to solve the conflicts. India and Sri Lanka are immediate neighbors. There are striking similarities between the cultures of South and India and Sri Lanka. India's links with Sri Lanka are rooted deep in history and mythology. Sri Lanka is predominantly a Buddhist country. Emperor Ashoka had sent his son Mahendra and daughter Sangamitra to Sri Lanka to spread the Buddhism. So Thousands of Buddhists from Sri Lanka come to our country on pilgrimage. Indians of Tamil origin are a minority population who are settled in Sri Lanka and are mainly employed in tea and rubber plantation. Tea and rubber plantation. There has been some friction between the two countries on the question of these Tamil immigrants. The Tamil who have long been settled in Sri Lanka allege discrimination at the hand of Sri Lankan government. This problem has not been settled by mutual agreement. The outcome being long drawn out armed conflict between the LTTE, the Liberian Tigers of Tamil Eelam, and the Sinhalese armed forces. After the return of its peace-keeping force, India has followed the policy of non-intervention in Sri Lanka's internal affairs. India became independent on 15 August 1947. The foremost challenge before the country after the independence was to tackle issues like poverty, deprivation and revival of its stagnant economy, trade industry, agriculture, handicrafts all had to be rehabilitated. We had a huge population to feed, clothe and educate. To achieve its goals, a process of intensive and all-around development was initiated with the launching of the first 5-year plan in 1957. Educational activity in the country has made considerable headway. Considering the significance of science and technology, a chain of research institutes, engineering colleges and laboratories has been established. Today, social mobility has increased. Only barriers like caste and sect are getting eroded gradually. The augurs will for a more acceleration, dynamic and progressive society. India women today enjoy near equal rights with men, and the progress made in this field in India is comparable with women's emancipation with any other country in the world. India has made huge advances that have come because of liberalization of the economy and greater deployment of science and technology. Today, the Indian youth is realizing the dream, the shaping of an egalitarian society which will take India into the rank of the world's top nations. There are many corporate success stories to underscore the importance of personal endeavor and thinking global, acting local as a means of succeeding in a highly competitive, integrated world economy. The impact of development is clearly visible today. We are in a position to tackle these challenges because the attitude of the people is changing. Indians today are much more aware and responsible. पहले के इंडिया से अब ज़्यादा हो गया ये. A fresh resurgent India shows its courage and resilience once again to rise from the ashes of poverty, ignorance and social inequality. Unity and diversity. India is known for its unity and diversity, यानी अनेकता में एकता. Perhaps no other country in the world has this much diversity as India. भारत के जैसी और कहीं पे भी एकता नहीं है. Probably not other country has managed to integrate so many different peoples despite social disparities and yet brought the country at par with many so-called developed economy. Hence, the remarkable feature of our country has been its amazing unity in the midst of bewildering diversity. India constitutes a multilingual, multi-ethnic and multi-religious country that revels in its unity. What is this? The force behind it? It is a Indianese, Bhartiya. This is like a garland with different kinds of flowers with their own color, fragrance and beauty. Even as power flows from the ballot box, a highly politicized atmosphere never undermines unity of purpose on national issues. The isolation of one region from another and the domination of one section of society over another have begun to fade away. The new sense of assurance has infused confidence in the polity and social justice, what were earlier depressed and marginalized sections of society. This confidence is seen everywhere in the new industrial and commercial township communities consisting of families of different backgrounds live and interact together, giving rise to a more composite culture. What we are witnessing is an India in transition from primitive and feudal to cosmopolitan, little and global. Okay, understand all of you? So all topics are covered in this chapter. I hope you all are very well understand and enjoyed this chapter. So we will meet you our next class.